Russian opposition leader Alexey Navalny has arrived in Russia after spending nearly 5 months in Germany recovering after being poisoned by a nerve agent. Moments ago, he was at border control where he spoke with border police. He then kissed his wife goodbye and walked off with those police. It's been confirmed that he has been detained. In the last hour, Navalny's plane was diverted to another airport in Moscow just before it was expected to land. Russia's prison authority had warned that he would be arrested if he returned. The opposition figure blames the Russian government for his poisoning, but the Kremlin has denied any involvement. Let's go live now to Moscow. Alexandra Godefroy is there for us. Alexandra, what's the latest?
Well, as you said, the Navalny apparently has been detained by the border police. He kissed his wife goodbye. They did not allow him, his lawyer, that accompanied him from Berlin, to join him. So he's been taken away by the police. In the meantime, people that were flying with him, including his wife, crossed the Russian border and are now on the airport. There has been a warrant issued recently on Navalny because the prison authorities here are claiming that he violated his probation period by not reporting to them and that they did not know his whereabouts in past months. During the flight, Navalny did not communicate with a lot of journalists that were following him on the plane itself, but after he entered the building of the airport to which he was diverted, he said that he's very happy and that this is the best day of his life in the last 5 months, that for him it was never a question whether he's going to return to Russia or not, that Russia is his homeland. And then he said maybe what is the crucial of this whole day and the message that he actually wanted to send to everybody in Russia is, and that is that he's not afraid and that he advises everybody else not to be afraid. The supporters of Navalny gathered in another airport where he was supposed to land today before the flight was diverted. There have been arrests there. More than 30 people we hear were arrested there, and this diversion is presumably done exactly to avoid him being greeted by people who support him.
And what's likely to happen to Navalny now?
Well, indeed, if this warrant that was issued by the prison authorities goes through, he will be processed and sent to first detention center. There is, from this prison authorities, a plea to the court to decide that Navalny had indeed violated his probation, in which case, if the court decides something like this, would mean that he would have to serve the 3.5 years real sentence that was decided in 2014. This is very problematic since his probation period actually expired on the 30th of December. Now, by the paper documents or paper trail, as you would call it, this prison authorities submitted this request on the last day, basically 29th of December. It's a question whether a court will take this into account. This, of course, is viewed as fabricated, is viewed as a way to pressurize him further. And whilst he was in Germany, there is other charges that have been brought, and that is, for instance, a charge that he allegedly embezzled his own fund, his organization called Fund to Fight the Corruption. Of course, he says that this is all ridiculous accusations that are not based on truth, but on the wish of the authorities and of the Kremlin to basically disable him in doing his political activity and being an oppositional politician here in Russia.
Alexandra Godefroy reporting live there from Moscow. Alexandra, many thanks indeed. Just want to show you some live pictures from Moscow's Sheremetyevo airport. This is Alexey Navalny's wife, cutting rather a despondent figure after seeing her husband walking away with those police officers. Of course, this was not the airport at which they'd planned to land, so there's no one there to greet her. So she is probably wondering what's going to happen next. Let's bring in Dara Makdoul, who is principal Russia analyst at the global risk consultancy Verisk Maplecroft. He joins us now live via Skype from London. Dara, what do you make of this circus? This is a man who skipped a probation appointment, one could argue, within reason. And yet we've had this huge security presence, first of all at one airport, then a plane being diverted and him landing at another airport, him being refused entry to Russia, and then police taking him away. What do you make of it all?
Well, last December, we saw Putin, who still refuses to say Navalny's name, kind of dismiss the idea that the security services would even be interested in such a man, saying, who is he? He's not terribly important. The events today have shown us that that's not the case, that the Kremlin is quite concerned about his potential as a political leader and a organizer and mobilizer of the opposition. The security theater at Vnukovo, the last-minute derailing of the flights, this shows that they see this man as a threat. And the question is, what are they going to do about it? And that's something where they might be a little bit more divided.
Why? The question has to ask, why did Navalny... he's in so much danger. There's already been this threat upon his life. Why did he insist on going back when he knew that he was going to be detained?
Well, that's a question for Mr. Navalny in terms of his exact reasoning. But if he were to remain in exile effectively in Germany, his ability to influence Russian politics or be a political actor would be nil. Now, he could potentially live a reasonably comfortable life in exile, but he has made the decision that this is his path. This is what he wants to do, his mission he's committed to, and I think we just have to respect that he's a remarkably brave individual in terms of his willingness to do this, given the inevitability of him being detained when he arrived, and the potential for future harm being done to him.
Germany has passed to Russia various documents, including transcripts of interviews with Navalny after his poisoning. The Kremlin still refuses to conduct an investigation into that poisoning. Will these documents from Germany make any difference?
No. The decision not to conduct an investigation is essentially a political one and is one designed to show the impunity of the Kremlin and the impunity of the security agencies. There's no real doubt as to what happened to Mr. Navalny in August. By not even mounting a token investigation, as was the case when Boris Nemtsov was assassinated in 2015, the Kremlin is sending a very clear message that this was something that was almost certainly sanctioned by the political leadership. And trying to send a message to Navalny and his supporters, and also indeed the West. There's very little that Germany can do, or that any Western state can do, to make the Kremlin reverse course on this point. The likelihood of a genuine investigation is effectively nil, given the involvement of the security services in the attempted assassination in the first place.
OK, can Germany, though, or the international community at large bring any pressure to bear on Russia over the treatment of Alexey Navalny?
I mean, there's a limited number of options that are still on the table, given that we're several years into a sanctions regime that started with the Magnitsky Act, that was significantly escalated following the invasion of Ukraine. Russia has learned to live with these sanctions, and Putin has certainly demonstrated in his approach to the incoming Biden administration that he doesn't expect an improvement in relations and isn't really going to expend much political energy in trying to achieve this. The one area where we could see significant costs inflicted on the Kremlin for further persecution of Navalny is over the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, which Germany and other European states have moved to protect, even giving U.S. opposition and opposition within the European Union itself. And that could be, that could be an area where they can, again, impose real costs. But the question is whether the Kremlin is willing to accept those costs in order to sideline or otherwise get rid of a political actor it regards as too threatening.
Good to talk to you again, Dara. Many thanks indeed. Dara Abdul there in London.
Thank you.